loading snacks. What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? Your boy Gage is here in the building with jokes of the double yo.
Yo.
And we have special guest Jose Jaro, who is joining us today. We're going to talk
What's going on?
a little
What's
bit about
going on?
his new project that is up and coming, but we'll get to that in a moment. You are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and we talk about things that are happening in pop culture. And today, we're going to talk, obviously, to Joe. We're going to talk about his new project, Sleepy Hollow comic project. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about Mortal Kombat's box office numbers from over the weekend.
Uh-oh.
We're going to talk about Harada moving to SNK and starting a new game studio. Might be some new fighting games coming down the loop. We're going to talk about Sony claiming a $765 million loss based on Bungie. But before we get into any and all of that, Jokes has a job to do.
Yes, sir.
So Jokes, we'll post our website up for those of you who are hanging out and are here in the chat. While he's doing that, you should know that the best thing you can do is follow us across social media to kind of keep track of all the things that we have going on. We are pretty busy these days. We are going back into season. We got a little bit of a break because they moved some of the normal Comic-Cons to earlier in the year. So we had a little bit of a break, but we're getting ready to go back into season. It's getting ready to get real busy again. And we have been. So one of the best ways to make sure you keep up with that is through our social media and by checking us out on Patreon, which is really one of the best ways you can support us monetarily. It does help, goes a long way with all of the travel and the buying new equipment and all of that kind of stuff. So if you can, really appreciate you going and supporting us on Patreon. And on that note, it's time for the Patreon 619 Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Indeed, we do. That will never change. We greatly appreciate all the support that you all give us, and we appreciate you all jumping in, tuning in, and supporting us on Patreon. Now, Joe, thanks for being so patient while we go through the rigmarole that is the introduction to the show. It's a lot. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Just busy.
Good.
Trying to be busy.
I know. So thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. A couple of reasons that I want to have you join us. One, again, it's AAPI month, right? So Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which again I think is important. And somehow, some way, it seems to be that you have projects that line up with that time frame because
it always seems
during that month. Somehow it just kind of works itself out.
You know what? I'm not gonna argue it. So
yeah, I think it's dope. Oh, Doctor Who, what up?
What's going on?
So look, you have a new project. It is a Sleepy Hollow project, and it released last Wednesday. First issue went live last Wednesday, correct?
That it did, and it's gotten some pretty good reviews. Yeah. So Sleepy Hollow, which is in the Western Wood, it's weird. It's a sequel and a prequel at the same time. So they've released like the first few pages of it. It starts directly right after, if spoiler for anyone, with the Sleepy Hollow movie with Johnny Depp from I can't remember exactly, 99.
It's like 20 years old.
Jeez,
something like that. Yeah. Yes, it's old. Yeah. Yeah. So the end of that movie, the Headless Horseman, he gets his head back, and antagonist, Mary Van Tassel, who was controlling the Horseman. Well, he takes her. I don't know if you guys remember, but he takes her, picks her up on his horse, and he jumps into the Tree of Death, and like basically he like right after that, it starts in our comic. They go to hell.
Right from that minute, yeah.
From that minute, yeah. So she's like talking, to the devil or whatever, and it takes from there, and then from there it flashes back to where basically her story starts,
Mm.
and it
Mm.
follows her to like how she comes to become this woman in the movie where she's like the villain.
Yeah.
But in our story, in our story, and just I'm in the middle of issue 4 right now. Just the progression of like she becomes like this villain, but you kind of like, yeah, okay, I get
Kind of
it.
feel you get it.
I'm kind of on your side, and and I love sending it to the colorist Xenon, and she's like, "Oh man, like this issue's like crazy, or like this page is crazy." Like the progression of just like the craziness um, is very exciting. Yeah, those the definitely the first issue is kind of just like setting the tone and setting
Yeah.
the story, and then yeah, it goes from there.
How can you talk about how you ended up? This is the first issue's cover.
Clean.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
can you kind of talk
So
about like where you draw the idea from? How'd you end up on this project to begin with? Can you talk about that?
yeah, definitely. So I just got off of Marian Heretic, and if there's any fans of Marian, there's definitely going to be more. So Boom pretty much announced that already. So yeah, so we're
Yeah.
gonna have another arc to Marian, and then we're gonna have some other projects as well. Um, the One of the editors, so when they were, I guess, doing this project, they were looking for an artist, and so an editor recommended my name because they were a fan of Marion.
Okay.
Recommended my name to the editor that was, in charge of Sleepy Hollow, and just reached out to me and was like, you know, would you be interested in this? The funny thing is, so the Sleepy Hollow sequel, Return to Sleepy Hollow,
Right.
written by Casey Gilly. Casey actually reached out to me and wanted to see if I would be interested in working on that book, but I was
Okay.
already tied to Marion, and it like just couldn't make it
Timing
work.
didn't work out. Yeah.
Timing didn't work. And so when I got when they reached out to me for this one, yeah, I was very excited to do it. I was a big fan of the movie
Yeah.
with Johnny Depp. Big fan of it, and that was a great movie. And it's like we have this prequel, I guess, project going on. I was like, yeah, I'd be happy to. And then come to
Okay.
find out after that, actually, the the editor that recommended my name for it, she reached out to me because to do a Star Trek cover. Um,
Oh.
yeah, so yeah, for
Jokes is a
uh,
huge Star Trek fan.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you know that. Like he's a huge Star
I,
Trek
you
fan.
know me, I'm more of a
I
Star
know.
Wars fan.
I know.
So the Star Trek, I'm not, the most. So yeah, so she reached out to me and she was like, "Yeah, I was the one who recommended your name for Sleepy Hollow. Fan of your work and blah blah blah." I was like, "Oh my god, very
Yeah.
thankful for that." So yeah,
That's
yeah,
dope.
that's what I'm working on right now.
That's dope. So again, so
Hey,
you're in the middle of issue 4. How many total issues for
It's
this Sleepy
five
Hollow one?
issues, limited series, for Sleepy. Yeah, for Western Wood. There's 5 issues. In the, like I said, middle of issue 4 right now. It's fun. She is a very fun character. Like getting into her head, and the writer, Delilah Dawson, like you could, like the progression of her as like this child into this. She's not crazy, but she's very like, I don't know, just the progression of her.
There's a lot happening with
Um,
her.
yeah, a lot happening.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to
I
do.
appreciate that, man. Like I see, I mean, I know that only the first issue is out because that's what came out last week. But like in pulling and doing a little research and just looking for images or whatever, like I saw that this cover that you did for issue number 2, um, is up. So I guess you can pre-order, and then this one
Yes,
for
yeah,
issue 3
for issue 3.
is up and available. I know that there was a cutoff. I think that was yesterday
I
for
think it
like
was
shops to
yesterday.
order.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I actually last week I didn't realize. I know you and I had talked about it. I didn't realize it was already coming out. Somehow, like I missed that. So when I saw that it dropped last Wednesday, I called called one of the shop owners, like, you
Hey,
tell me
yo.
you have this, and he was like, yeah, I got him. And I was like, well, I'll be there this weekend, so I need you to hold on. So I'll pick up my issues.
That's
Um,
what's up.
for number one on Saturday, they're doing LotCon at Comic Logic, so we'll be there for that. And so I'll pick them up then. Um, but yeah, man, like, how does like you coming off of Marian Heretic, which has I guess like a similar vibe to the look of
Yeah.
what this is.
So, and that's funny because a couple of things. There was definitely a review that was like, Joe Jaro coming fresh off of Marian Heretic brings the same kind of energy
Yeah.
to this. I've somehow now I have no idea how I did it,
Hmm.
but I'm in this horror niche now.
I was just
I,
gonna ask about that. Like, is this
I'm
a
not.
new niche for you?
It is what it is. It's fine. I love it's fun drawing it, but like I guess it started with like Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Yeah,
and yeah, and then now I did Marion, and then now Sleepy Hollow. It's totally cool. I love these. The stories are pretty cool, and I mean,
yeah.
growing up, I
Buffy
read
and
X
Sleepy
Men and
Hollow.
like yeah. Well, I grew up watching those, but as far as comic books and as far as the
Oh,
stuff that I drew, it was like either like superhero stuff or anime stuff or like
yeah,
mechs and stuff. So
yeah.
this kind of stuff was like,
This
This
was like,
this kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that
This
I
kind of
drew
stuff.
and grew
Yeah,
up on. So I have no clue how I got into this, but the horror
yeah.
stuff. But I don't mind it at all. It's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, outside of, I guess, like Marion, again, we know that, like, there, you've been greenlit for another run. Is it going to be like another 5, 6 issues?
Yeah, so it's another arc. Typically about 5 issues. I'm not sure about the next one coming up, how many issues there are.
Okay,
But they're kind of treating it like seasons instead of like
sure.
just an ongoing, you
Yeah,
know, um, thing. They're treating it like a season. So season one's done. Season two is gonna, pick
yeah,
up where we left off. And then there's, I'm pretty sure Boom announced this too that there's other projects
sure,
within Marion as well,
sure.
um, that I will be connected to, but there's other projects that other artists will be doing as well. So it
Yeah,
I guess it did well enough for Boone that they're like, yeah, let's
let's do it
yeah.
let's
again.
expand this. Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
certainly seems like it. Is that like, do you like the idea? I mean, again, we came up, I feel like, more traditional comics where it's just like issue after issue after issue every
issue
month,
after
issue,
issue. Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of it. Like, do you think that the idea of treating stuff a little bit more like arcs or like seasons, almost the way like TV and stuff is done, do you feel like that's a maybe even a
No,
smarter
I
way to do
no, I
comics?
actually like it. Like the stuff I did for like even Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Last Vampire Slayer. I think how many issues was that? I want to say there was like 5 issues
I think
and
that was five
then
too.
like a special or something. But yeah, no, I think it's nice little contained story
Yeah,
and there's no filler or whatever. And like
yeah,
people can actually be like, oh, that was a great story. I wish there's more. And then when it comes out, it's like, oh, there's more, instead of just
right,
like all over and over. And
yeah,
some of it can get stale. Obviously, there's very successful runs of comic books that just keep on going, and
yeah,
it just does really well. But no, I like this, arcs and stuff like that,
yeah.
and you know, step away from it and then come back and visit it. And I've been actually in my head now because I'm not exactly like the time frame is still kind of up in the air and loose. I'm sure they all know that on their end, but on my end it's like still whatever. But I'm starting to think like, are we gonna do like you know, obviously new character designs or whatever, but like new designs for our main characters and stuff like that.
Mm,
So stuff like that. I'm starting to think about.
yeah. How
Like
do you how do you like doing this kind of work, working in comics, especially from an episodic standpoint versus like what you did in terms of say character design with like Hitmonkey when you were working on that? Like,
I, and then I'm just like from my experience, comic books is definitely a grind.
yeah,
It's like you're just working towards the deadline.
yeah,
When I was working for Hitmonkey, doing character designs for animation, it was like, we would have a Zoom meeting with the team in the morning. This is your project for the day, and then by 5 o'clock Eastern time, all right, let's gather up and then just whatever, shoot the shit sometimes, and
yeah,
decompress or talk about whatever we did for the day, and then that was it. You're done for the
hmm,
day. It was kind of more like 9 to 5.
yeah,
But with comic books, it's like just get it done by this date. So it's like, all right,
yeah.
well, I guess when
Finish
I
it up.
yeah. So I don't know. Doing the 9 to 5 thing, obviously, is like it's good to like have that set
Yeah,
schedule. Um, but I'm a comic book artist. It's crazy. It's like I
yeah.
love doing like the panels and stuff like that, and like
I hear you.
imagination. So I love doing that work.
Yeah, do
It
you
is a grind. Don't get me wrong. It's a
well,
grind.
because you got deadlines, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
but you, at least in this project, I mean, I can't recall if you ever do colors in the books. Like you generally do. Are you doing pencils and inks? Like you're doing.
Just pencils
Oh,
and
okay.
inks. I do everything. So and everything's I do everything digital now, which
Mhm.
Right,
has its drawbacks. Which I don't have physical pages that I can like sell or whatever. Um,
right.
but it's so much faster,
Yeah,
and yeah, meeting those deadlines makes it a lot easier.
yeah.
Um, it's a give or take, but yeah,
Do you
yeah. But
enjoy
I'm only
coloring?
doing I do with my stuff, but I can't
Yeah.
do. And I've colored some projects. I've done projects where all I did was color and not do the line work.
Okay.
Little
Okay.
small projects here and there, and I'm totally fine with that too. But I can't do every. If I do like a whole book on my own, I would go nuts and it'd never get done.
Yeah.
That's just
Is
a
it?
lot.
Is there like when the colors come back? Does it ever look different than you imagined it when you drew it in your head?
Yes,
Yeah.
and in the beginning, it was very like that's not that's not what I pictured at
That
all.
ain't right.
Like that's not, but and not in a bad or good way or whatever.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. It was like, okay, that's totally different. I'm more like, okay,
Yeah.
that's what the
But
color, that's their style and whatever. Um, but in the beginning, I was just like, oh, that's this is different.
that's
It's
not the
kind of
choice
like
you
a,
would
a
have made,
shock.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So do you feel like it affects the way like n- like if you're drawing something for yourself, as you draw the lines, I imagine that you have the idea of what the colors are going to be like when you do it.
yeah.
Does it affect the way you draw, knowing that you're drawing for somebody else to do the coloring? Like, would it be different for you if you were creating and to some extent, you're creating a coloring book when you do this kind of work, right? Like, do
Right,
you
right.
approach it differently?
Um, yeah, actually, I do. When I'm doing pages, and I'm just concentrating on inks, um, I mean, I kind of set the mood for it, the lighting and stuff like that. Obviously, like the shadowing. Um, but when I do stuff for myself and I'm gonna color it myself, I
Hmm.
kind of leave some of that, the shadowing, like the shadows and where I want the light to be. I leave it up to the when I color it. But
Mm,
when I'm doing this, I'm like, all right, well, this needs a really hard shadow here, and I need to make it moody. So I'm gonna make it. I guess if you look at it, even without colors,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
the mood for it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
but like if I'm doing like the
Like this.
um the scout trooper that I just did that you saw,
Like
on,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, obviously hard shadows and stuff like that on there too. But
Yeah.
I knew what I was gonna do throughout the whole thing, so it's kind of like, you
Got
know,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, man. Look, I think that's I think it's interesting, right? To just kind of peek into like knowing as an artist how you approach your personal work versus how you approach the work that you know has to go to somebody else for them to be able to complete it, right? Like you have a deadline, they have a deadline, right? Like
Yeah.
once you get it to them. So I would imagine that there's also some of that like you're by you defining, say, hard shadows and certain hard lines and whatever, you're also making it easier on them because they have to maybe put a little less thought into how they approach the colors. Because again, you're both on a deadline. Like, is there?
Yeah, and then obviously whatever notes from the editor, for them and what the mood is going to be. But
Yeah,
I try to make my lines as simple for the colorist because sometimes you have to grab certain lines and like, you have like say like characters in the foreground and then you have background stuff.
mhm,
I'll put all those like in different layers and try to make
yeah.
it as simple for the colorist to just grab that layer and just because
In
you
that
can
file, like
color the
in the
lines and stuff
file
like that too.
itself, right? Okay.
Right. So and I've been I've worked with colorists. They're like, thank you for doing that because
Yeah, yeah.
just to make it
Making
because
it
It's
I
easier.
understand. I color my own
Color.
stuff too, and you should. It's insane how I have like a million layers
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
work. So I understand. So like when I'm doing lines, I'm like it's not all one flat layer, and like they have to
yeah.
like you know it'll take time to separate what they're working on. So, but yeah,
When
and
you when you look, it's you've been an artist as long as I've known you, your entire life, right?
yeah,
And I was I was really gonna ask, like, do you feel like, I mean, you went to school for art, you got a degree in animation, like, do you feel like things that you learned in art school, going to art school, apply to things that you're doing now? Like, are you still, not that
yeah,
school was
it
a long
does.
time ago, 'cause it was,
I
but
know.
like,
Yeah, it will. Yeah, yes. And it's kind of been a weird path. Like I went to school for animation, and when I went to school for animation, um, like the computer animation and that was kind of like just starting,
becoming
like
to be the big,
Pixar and
yeah.
all that. Yeah, and now it's just the norm, right?
Mhm,
Back then it was still like hand drawn stuff,
mhm.
but like learning, I guess like storyboarding and like doing panels, it's almost the same thing, but it's not. Storyboarding has its own like like
Language,
a yeah,
yeah.
and certain ways they do stuff too. But when I learning animation and kind of like framing stuff
Mhm.
kind of helps me with the panels that I do, like panel
Yeah,
work that I do, and obviously character designs and stuff like that.
sure.
Helps me for both comics and animation. Um,
I would imagine deadlines too, like having to get stuff
uh,
done
yeah, yeah. No,
from an art perspective.
my sleep schedule. And you can ask my wife. My sleep schedule is yeah,
It's
man.
the
I've
crazy.
been
schedule.
sleeping like this since college. Like
Ooh,
I don't do all nighters much anymore, like
mhm,
all throughout the night. But yeah, I mean, I could be working till like 3 in the morning or whatever. And
mhm.
yeah, that was from school and it's like getting stuff
Yeah,
done. Having to get stuff done. Deadlines.
it's
Oh,
a little bit
why do we have to have
nostalgic, I
deadlines for
guess.
Pete's sakes?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, that's again, man, it's dope. Congratulations. I'm glad that you're,
Yes.
again, you're doing things you want and people are really beginning to recognize your work. I mean, I don't know if you kind of want to end up bogged down in a specific aesthetic, but like clearly you can do a lot of different
And
things,
doing some.
Yeah.
you know?
No, I mean, right now anyway, I don't mind. I don't mind it
Yeah.
at all. And it's not my normal stuff. And when I do stuff for myself, it's usually like it'll be like Star Wars stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's my outlet when I do stuff. But yeah, doing this like horror genre. Oh, and I'm also doing. Speaking of which, I don't know. I guess I can say it. Well, because they announced the from Boom, something's killing the children.
Oh yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if you've heard of that. Yeah, so
yeah.
they're making that into a live action series. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be on Netflix, Amazon, or what. I don't know who picked it up, but they're
Yeah,
making anyway. It's they've done like reprints of this book already, of at least like
yeah.
I guess first issues or whatever. So it's very popular. But from Marion, the editor in chief from Boom asked me to do a cover for
Mm,
for that book,
that's
um,
dope.
which is kind of horror genre. I don't know if you're not
Yeah,
familiar with it. I haven't myself read the whole thing yet, but it seems very uh, interesting. So it's kind of like kids can see these monsters. If I'm wrong, if somebody's read this, then I'm wrong. Totally, like call me
yeah.
out on it.
Definitely
But
got
it
a
seems like
fan in the
kids
building.
see these monsters.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
was
so,
also
yeah.
say one of my
So
favorites.
kids see
So
these
excited.
monsters,
Yeah,
but adults can't. But there's like I don't know if it's like a family or whatever. Um, they can, and so she fights these monsters and whatever. But yeah, so I'm doing a cover for that one. Um,
it's dope.
I don't know exactly when the release date for it would be,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be out there at some point.
It's dope, bro. Again, it's dope, man. I actually I love it. Like I love seeing you do it. We were growing up. We went through the stuff, and you do clothing and stuff like that. But you've always been really good at like robots and robotics and like hard lines and you know what I mean and stuff like that too. And it's dope to see you kind of get off like you know trees and you know what I mean. Some of the whimsy
Yeah,
slash
yeah.
fantasy slash you know what I mean. Like it's dope, man. So again, congratulations. Um, I don't know if
Thanks.
you know what the release schedule is like for the next two. For the next two, I know again the 2 and 3 seem to already be available for pre-order.
Pre-order, yes. I'm not exactly sure what the exact dates are for
Yeah,
when they're going to be released, but yeah. The pre-sale, pre-order for two, I think that's expired already. I'm not sure if
yeah,
three is already up for
okay,
pre-order, but I'm sure
yeah,
it's soon. If not, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man. Again, dope. Congratulations.
Yes.
For all of you who are watching, listening, go pick up at least the first issue. It is out
Please.
and available, so go get that first issue now. This is what it looks like if Joe did the cover. There are variant covers out there, but
There
the
are variant
interiors are
covers,
still are
yes.
still are still Joe's. But this for number one, this one for number two, and this one for number three. Now, Joe, when you do a cover,
Mm.
you still send that and somebody else does the coloring, does the coloring, or do you do all of it for the cover? Is it different for that?
So for Marion and for Sleepy Hollow, I did not do the colors for.
Okay,
Um, but the other two projects, the Star Trek and the Something's Killing the Children, I did do the entire thing.
okay,
Um, yeah, so for these main for the covers for these, it's Xenon, the main colorist for the book for CP
yeah,
Hollow. She did the colors
okay.
for mine. Yeah,
Dope.
yeah,
They're some pretty impressive colors. So they look
it's fun and
pretty
it's
solid, man. They're dope.
it's always fun to see like what different colorists do. I've worked with some pretty talented ones now. It's
Hmm.
kind of like you don't know. Obviously, you have this picture in your head on how you would do it or how I would do it.
Yeah,
But it's always fun to see where they go
yeah,
and to keep it consistent. I think that in itself, like me, if I'm coloring a single piece, I don't have to worry about the whole tone of an entire book. I think
right.
that in itself is a talent to keep it
Yeah,
consistent. So it's like when you turn a page, it's like, whoa,
yeah, yeah,
colors can make it so different, even if the line
yeah,
work is the same. Um, so that I think is
yeah. Because I mean, I guess you
pretty
could keep it.
impressive too.
You could work within a palette and try to keep it to a palette of specific colors, but it could be very different
Yeah,
depending on what's happening from page to page for sure.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I definitely
yeah.
I would agree with that. That sounds like the kind of thing that could be unnerving from piece to piece, especially if you're not getting it all at once, like having it come back
Right.
a few days later or whatever, and like go back
Exactly.
and be back in that
Yeah.
same mind frame or whatever. Yeah, I can certainly see that. When you draw directly on paper, do you think in
Oof.
layers
When was the
now?
last time I did that? But
No, that's
no, I do. No, but I do, and it's like when if I do like a commission, say at like a convention or whatever, and I haven't done one a commission in a while, I have to retrain myself or like okay, I can't just delete this line or whatever. So I have to
right,
like it's almost
right.
like I have to retrain myself to draw traditionally.
Yeah,
Um yeah, it doesn't take long, but sometimes I'm like, you know, I can't blow this up to like
yeah. To look at the detail or whatever.
to
Yeah,
look at details and stuff. And yeah, and like deleting it or like thinking it in layers, it's kind of crazy sometimes that I'm so used to digital now. But it doesn't take me long. I can still get back to
yeah.
it.
You're getting there.
Dang it.
All right. Are you Are you excited about Mando and Grogu? Are you like? Did you get tickets
I am.
already? What do we do?
I have not gotten tickets yet. But eventually we'll go watch it.
Yeah,
We're not like the day one, not anymore anyway for me. Um,
I
I'm
understand.
excited for it. I've seen now. Yeah, I don't think it's spoiling the entire movie. The clips that are coming out, but the
Yeah,
more I see it, the more I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. It looks fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't mind. I love Andor. I love Rogue One and all that, and
Hmm.
how deep Andor was, and like stories and all
How
that.
serious they feel. Yeah.
But I'm ready for just a fun Star Wars movie. It looks
It
fun.
kind of reminds me, bro, of like the Ewok adventure. Like, yeah, like that
Yeah.
just kind of like, yeah, we're going on an adventure, almost Goonies like kind of feeling. And like the first
Yeah.
few trailers, I was like, I don't know about this. It feels like because the
Yes.
Mandalorian feels much more serious than what this movie feels like. This feels
Mhm.
like it is done more for fun and for family and for kids. Where the show itself, like I don't know if it's the thing you would
The
sit down.
movie's the
It doesn't
side
doesn't
quest.
seem like it
It's
has
the
that
fun
same
Now,
side
feel.
quest.
from what I'm
Yeah,
hearing, it is the feel of it is very season one and season two,
hmm,
Mandalorian, which I mean, I still thought it was very fun.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I hope. And then the crazy thing is, it's like I don't know what I guess some of it's hit or miss stuff that they've done,
yeah,
and I guess they were like, all right, let's slow down on some of these things that we're putting out. The
yeah,
Lucasfilm and Disney, whatever their decision was. Hopefully, this kind of like because I miss watching Star Wars in the movie theater or whatever. And I'm not
yeah.
saying have a Star Wars movie out every year, but I
Right.
hope this kind of like energizes it back
Yeah.
to like we're
Reignites the
looking
little
forward to.
fire behind
Reignites
you.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to tie in like the whole Galaxy's Edge where they're kind of like they're
Hmm.
putting all era stuff, even like
Hmm.
Galactic Empire stuff in Galaxy's Edge is exciting to me. I wish they
Mhm.
Yeah.
would put it over here in the East. I don't know
I
when they're
know,
gonna
bro.
do that for Galaxy East. I know they're doing that at West right now, but
Hmm.
no.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Are you caught up? Did you watch Maul, Shadow Lord?
I did. Yo, those last two episodes,
Yep.
I know
and
they
I was
talking.
late.
Yep.
I was late because like I started watching. I started watching it, but when I watch it, I'm doing work, so I didn't get a
Right.
chance to like really dive into it. And I thought it was cool, and like the buddy cop,
Hmm.
the cop guy, and the two was it
Oh,
two
Two Boots
boots?
and Lawson. Yeah,
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 and Lawson. Yeah, they were cool, but it didn't like grab me.
yeah,
And then speaking to some folks, they were like, "Yo, it's a good show." So I was like, "All right, let me sit down,"
yeah.
and I did. And those last two episodes, man, I was like, it had me hyped.
They
It
went.
had
They
me
went.
hyped.
They
I mean,
went,
I
bro.
will
Yeah.
talk spoilers right now. I don't know if it like.
Hey, listen. We did a spoiler boys
We
on it,
did
and I
spoiler
don't want
boy.
to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. But man, listen. it gets
Oof.
intense, like the way it needs to be. That
Yeah.
immediately is like, see, even the dog's excited, like,
I
yo,
know, really.
like, yo, Maul.
The last 2
Like,
episodes.
You're
it
right.
gets, yeah, like the payoff is absolutely worth all of the rest of the show. Like the way those
Yeah.
last 2 episodes,
Mhm.
especially the last episode, but like the
Yeah.
payoff is
And
exactly what you
I'm assuming she's gonna turn into Dark Talon or whatever this version of Dark Talon is.
could be.
Um,
Ooh.
yeah, I mean, she's a Twilight apprenticed by Darth Maul. Who else
Mhm.
could she be?
Like what
Which
else?
is,
What else do you?
yeah. But
We
yeah, no,
I didn't
man,
even
the
think.
whole
I
Darth
didn't even think
Vader.
about that.
Oh no,
yeah.
it's gotta be. It's gotta be
Oh,
introduced. She's gotta be introduced. I know she's Dark Talon's red and she's pink, but she's young. Maybe when she gets as she grows
get a
older,
little,
who knows?
Painted
You
this,
know,
darker.
yeah.
and dark side or whatever. You know, and then she'll get maybe tattoos or whatever. Whatever. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Bro,
But no,
next
the
season
whole
gonna
thing
kick
with
out.
like
Next season
with
starts. It's just getting tattooed.
yeah, just get tatted up.
It'd be crazy.
But no,
Yeah,
man,
just
like.
the opening choice, like I'm hardcore, just like just get, yeah.
But no, man, Vader
Yeah.
just running through
Oh,
them, not even running,
crossing over,
walking
doing a
like Mike Myers.
celebration.
And shit. Yo,
Uh,
ever since I found out that it was gonna be in LA, I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, we gonna do this, we gonna do this. But I've never been. I'm not.
Yeah.
Um, Vince, you know who Vince
Hmm.
at work at Lego. That
Hmm.
man's he's going, and like he's been 6 times. I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah, we gonna do this, we gonna do this, not knowing that it's like, oh, if you don't get a ticket day one, you're not going.
oh,
You're
you.
not going.
And so
Yeah.
I've been just casual about it. Like, oh yeah, maybe
Oh yeah, that's
when I
bad, bro.
decide, we have
Yeah.
like a year. If I decide to go,
Nope.
we'll go. No, man,
Nope.
you have to be on that joint,
Yep.
waiting
Mm.
to get
Yep.
released. Those tickets to get released.
Hey,
I
listen,
would
people be
love
Yep.
to
waiting
go,
for like
but
hours for like queue to open to get in
that's
online.
yes. I
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
not know this. I did not know
Yeah.
this. I don't. Yeah, I don't go to, like conventions, like the big conventions like that, and like
Yeah.
concerts. I don't go to concerts like that. So I
You
was
didn't
totally
know.
like, oh,
Oof. All
okay.
caps.
Let me
In
tell
the
you
me,
how that meeting when tickets went on sale.
like y'all gonna have to be on hold because I
Hey,
gotta do
listen, that
something.
meeting would have gotten paused. Hey, listen,
Right?
we gotta take a brief intermission
I just
from
want
the
y'all to know
meeting.
I have an emergency right now.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
man. So I was like, oh, well, I guess next time. Who knows? Who knows?
yeah, I mean, look, man, it'll come back around. It's not like they're not gonna do another one. So like it'll come back
Right?
around.
And
Yeah.
you know
More
Yeah.
now.
projects
You
are
know
happening.
now. So when the
Yeah.
I
ticket goes
know.
Now
sell,
Now
you
I
know
know.
you gotta get in
I was like,
a little early.
goodness.
You know what I mean? But look, you know what, Joe? Like, you might just be like, they might just be like, we need an artist to come in and do something. You just
That would
keep
be
cooking. You keep cooking and
that.
then join the 501st, and between the two of them, bro,
There
you
you
should,
go.
some
you
gonna
should
pay
walk
off.
into that. You know what I mean?
I would love to, man. Yeah, no, that's definitely my like dream job to do anything Star Wars. Like I had a chance a long time
Mm-hmm.
ago. Actually, when I was working on Hitmonkey,
Mm-hmm.
when I used to work off and on with this agent, and he was like, there's a Star Wars project that you might be, if you're interested. I was like, hell yeah, I'm interested.
Say no
Um,
Mm-hmm.
more.
but I just started on Hitmonkey, and that
Mm-hmm.
was a full time gig. So
Mm.
Yeah.
I had to turn it down. I was like, yeah, I can't do it. This is too
Yeesh.
much. But I know. I hopefully
Yeah, but I mean,
another
like, listen,
project comes
here's the
along.
thing,
But
right? By proxy, right? Because Hitmonkey's Marvel, and that's
Hmm.
yeah,
Disney, which is Star Wars. So, like, there's a
yeah,
through
that's
line, bro. Like, what I mean? We
exactly.
make it happen, bro. Like, we just put a petition together or something, and just be like, let's happen. Wiz, what
Oh,
up, Wiz?
Liz! Oh my goodness, yo, what's up, dude? How you been? Oh man,
Man,
in the
um,
woodworks.
yeah, look, y'all gotta make sure you go and you grab Sleepy Hollow. You definitely should go and pick
Hmm.
up all of the issues of Marian Heretic.
Yeah,
Joe,
I
what's
love.
the Star Wars? I mean, the Star Trek project.
Star Trek Zero. So, and forgive me, jokes, because I'm not a Star Trek person whatsoever. And so they had to give me like all this reference. I'm like, who this? Who am I drawing? I don't know. So, and I know some. It's like 7 of 9. I know 7 of 9, right?
Uh-huh.
Sure. Okay.
So her love interest. Oh, what is her name? I just had it at the top of my head.
You gonna make me make
Anyway,
you
so
want to
she has her own
know.
starship. So
Uh-huh.
she has her own starship, her own crew, whatever, and it revolves around her. Um, and I guess like as far as story, I don't think I can get divulge into that. But they wanted, and then here we go again. They wanted a horror esque
Hmm.
cover
Mm.
for it.
Hmm.
So
Some
yeah, I
Event
mean,
Horizon.
yeah, exactly. Some,
Yeah.
and I did like, so I've done like a few when I did a few sketches for it. I guess it was too traditional, like Star Trek, like even movie
Okay.
posters and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And they were like, no, we want you to push it more horror, like
Hmm.
horror. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we'll,
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so it's about her and her crew. Um, and they didn't give me like too much as far as like backstory or whatever. They just gave me
Yeah.
like character designs for the characters and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not exactly sure. So that one I actually is I'm in the middle of doing that one. I haven't turned that one in yet. So and
Okay.
usually when you turn stuff in, it's still later
It
down the
takes a while
road.
before
I
you.
know.
Yeah.
Send it in. It's just
Yeah,
like,
Okay.
don't worry.
it's
We'll
like
let
yeah,
you
you
know
wait
when it's
for
when it's
yeah,
out.
That's
exactly.
cool. You know what I mean? Look, it's in the
Nah,
works.
I'm waiting. I'm
It's
definitely
coming.
interested in
Yeah,
that. Because if it's
Of
yeah.
seven of
course you are.
nine and Rafi, I think is her
Ra,
name.
yes,
Um,
yes. Thank you.
it
I don't
takes
know.
it takes place after Star Trek Picard, then, which really
Yeah.
has me
Hmm.
Yes.
intrigued in that because that's pretty much the end of that. She gets the Enterprise, or
Oh,
they
Yeah.
okay.
her ship it was the Titan or something. They
Mhm.
renamed it and it became the Enterprise.
Oh,
I think
see,
that's cheating.
you know more than I do.
I feel like that's cheating, Joe. I
Hey,
don't think that's.
But I did.
technically the Enterprise I think got destroyed, the
Yeah.
original one
Yeah.
in that
It
timeline.
most
So
was.
they just
Oh,
like, yeah, just make this the Enterprise G.
I mean, they sent me. So they sent me character designs. They sent me some designs of her ship.
Hmm.
So, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
I was gonna like the first few sketches I did. I incorporated the ship in it, but I had to redraw some stuff, so that didn't make it into the cover. But yeah, no, it was very interesting. But like I said, I'm more of a Star Wars fan.
You were.
Hey, no worries.
That's about to. You know what I mean? They're about to flip that switch.
I know,
We
right?
start talking
No, I
like
like Star Trek. I do like Star Trek. I'm just
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
so versed into
Hmm.
Not the
that.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not the same. I get it. Yeah. I mean, look. Again, congratulations, y'all. Again, make sure you pick up all Joe's stuff. Make sure you're following Joe Instagram at Joe Jaro, Joe underscore Jaro.
Yes,
So you can kind of keep track on what's going on and when things are coming out. There's a lot of reposts of what's happening with the stuff
yes.
with Marian Heretic and IDW and Sleepy
And I
Hollow and
will
all that.
be in full disclosure, and I'll be honest with you. I'm the worst at like promoting and like when stuff is coming out. I didn't know that Sleepy Hollow came out this
Last
past
week,
Wednesday. I was just getting tagged.
Right.
I was like,
You would
well,
think they would tell you.
in my defense, I'm just like entrenched in like getting stuff done. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
obviously I get these emails or whatever. But if it's not like, you have to
Big
revise
bold
this or
letters.
this is how it's supposed. I'm like, all right, I'm still drawing.
yeah. But I
I
mean,
get
also with
you
characters,
know
right? Like, how long ago did you work on that issue?
I was gonna say yeah.
the. I mean, I'm in issue 4 now, and in if issue 1
Right.
just
And issue one's
yeah.
just
So
dropping.
and
So
it's
that's what
like
I'm saying. Like,
yeah. And
you
it
know.
takes about roughly 6 weeks maybe to
Hmm.
work on an issue for me anyway, just for the line work. And there's still
Right.
colors, there's lettering,
Hmm.
Hmm.
editing, and all that. So it does take a while. But
Okay.
yeah, no, the other day when it came out, I just started getting tagged on it, I was like, oh. Yeah, so
Oh, it's out.
repost. I was so bad, yeah. I was like,
Like I've
It's
done
all
oh
better
right,
now.
man. It's all good. You know what I mean? We'll try to help keep you up to date
yeah,
on it.
there you go.
You
Y'all help me
keep your
out.
head down, you know what I mean, and keep rolling. Look, man, it's up to you if you kind of want to hang out while we knock out a little bit of news, and then close out the show. That's up to you. If you want to bounce, you can. If you got a hard out, but if not, you're gonna hang out for a little bit longer and knock out a little bit of
Yeah.
news. Okay. I mean, I know
For
you
a few
got
minutes.
deadlines. You supposed to
I
be
was like, you
drawing
got
right now.
deadlines out here, so
I'm actually I'm in a decent space right now.
Okay.
And then I mean that's all I'm doing tomorrow. And I've gotten some work done today. My brain space is not in it for the
so
rest
you
of the
gotta
Okay.
take
night.
a
I'll
break.
be
Gotta
honest.
take a little
You
bit of a
know.
Then
breather.
hang out with us and let's
Yeah,
just, you know what
man.
I mean?
Yeah.
You know what that means,
But
jokes? It means it's time for WHHW, which is what had happened which of course is last week's news, which is over there somewhere. We're gonna talk about it. Hook me up, Joe.
Number one.
This weekend was a special weekend because somehow they managed to greenlight and make another Mortal Kombat movie, and it came out last week. I went and saw it. Jokes, you saw it,
I have not seen it
correct?
yet. I have
Oh
I
not
my
have
seen
not.
it
goodness.
I
yet.
haven't seen it myself either.
You
How
know
was
what, y'all? Maybe save your money. Here's the thing.
it?
Let's talk about Mortal Kombat 2 for a minute.
That's sad.
Look, here's the thing. The movie it has like a 65 on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, but it's got like a 90 from fans.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
here's what I need you to understand about this movie and like what's kind of going on with it. If you go into this movie expecting it to be anywhere near as serious as the story in the games, forget about it. You kind of
Yeah.
need to go into this movie like, oh, we're about to go see this B movie that's
It's
all
its own
about people
thing.
getting
Yeah.
murdered in the worst way, kind of thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not that there isn't a story there, but I'm gonna be real with you. The story is all right. It's okay. It's self-serving. The fights.
Oh no.
Really?
Oh, somebody
Zane
liked
up.
it.
Zane up.
Oh,
Stop it. Zane, stop it. It's not 10 out of 10. It's
Hey yo,
not.
but on the
Listen,
flip side, hold up.
this one's like a 4. Hey
Ah.
yo, hey look, AK. I know you know it was trash going in. Listen, here's the thing. It is a B movie. Like it is straight up. It's a B movie. And if you know that going in, here's the thing about it. It's a bad movie. It's a really good time. And
But
those two
listen,
things.
so no, because like I was like before, like I started hearing hype about it, and like like people seem to generally like it. I was like, it's gonna be a trash movie. The first movie, I was like, not the most
It was
excited
trash.
about it, but I was like, oh yeah, I kind of want to see this. I watched it, and I was just like, it was whatever.
Nope.
But I was like, okay, maybe the second one they figured things out and they learn from some mistakes or whatever. It's gonna be a tight movie. And then the clip with Katana with the swirls, I was like, oh, that looks tight. But don't tell me it's gonna be more of the same.
Nah, dog, it's trash. Here's the thing. Look, the movie. Look, the box office for the movie, right? The movie did like 60 million or something like that at the box office. The budget for making the movie is like 80 million. All right, so we already in trouble. But
oh wow, yeah. Oh
that's
man,
like the budget at 80 million is before marketing. Like we're not even talking about what they
yeah.
spent
Oh,
to market the movie. But here's the thing. They did try to right some of the wrongs of the first movie. Like a lot of people hated that they had a character in it. Like nobody knows who this dude is. Why did y'all make up a person and just put him in here or whatever?
Yeah.
They did do something to fix that. However, the acting is still bad. And most of the fighting is still bad. There is one fight scene in this movie that is incredible. And you can tell the entire budget went to that
Was
fight.
it that?
The whole budget went to that fight. And for real, they could have just put that fight on YouTube and got millions of views and probably made some really good money. But as a whole, it's kind of corny. It's over the top.
The greatest, huh? Yeah.
It's really not. It's
That
really
sounds
not.
perfect.
It is in my personal opinion. As I sit here with my popcorn bucket
Hey,
and my
ain't
cup.
enough.
Hey, look. Hey, yo, said the best thing about it. I didn't even get the popcorn bucket I wanted, dog. I got stuck with the green, which is cool.
It's green.
Right? But it's not the Shao Kahn helmet. Like, I wanted the actual helmet bucket, but whatever. Here's the thing. Part of me feels like, even though this joint is terrible, again, it's a bad movie that is a good time. I need to stress that. So, you just kind of have to know that going in. Do I feel like it would be better if you wait to see it on streaming? Probably. I don't know that I would recommend you go to the theater to see this. Not with, like, Devil Wears Prada 2 out and Mando and Grogu coming and Supergirl. Like, I just, a lot of people don't go to the movies to just, you know what I mean? Like, because of how expensive it can be, you don't just spend your money on what, any movie. And, Zayna's like, nah, this joint was great, 10 out of 10. Guess who didn't pay for her movie tickets? Like, guess who paid for the movie tickets?
Oh, this is the best movie out.
Although, I
should watch it again.
And spend some money on the tickets, but it is hard for me to recommend that people spend their hard-earned money for what movie theater tickets cost to go see it. Frosty said they marketed it. I didn't even know this thing existed until you mentioned it a few weeks ago. I think in my circles, because of like the video game circles I'm in,
It's just
and
there.
like I'm paying attention to Mortal Kombat anyway. Like, I'm still looking at stuff. They still, they just kind of wrapped up stuff with some of the games and that kind of thing or whatever. And I'll be honest, it did actually make me want to go back and play the game again.
During WWE, because wrestlers were coming out dressed as Mortal Kombat characters. Yeah. It was like a match that was sponsored by Mortal Kombat. Like, so if you're a wrestling fan, you knew it was coming out.
I mean, I'm just saying, they end it as if they know there's going to be another one. Ayo said Devil Wears Prada 2 is fantastic. I believe it. Did you get a purse popcorn bucket is what I need to know, Kay. Yeah, again, I can't really recommend it, right? So I don't think we're gonna
be on Max soon. It's gonna be on Max in like a month.
Depending on whatever happens with that, with all of what's going on with it being bought and all that. Zayna said, hold on, that I would have. Don't take that as me paying for the next one, though. See what I'm talking about? Knowing that that's like next week.
There's some jealousy also in here, too.
Jose, stop playing with Hey, Cuddy. Hey, listen, man. Leave that man alone. You know what I mean? Let him have his space. You know what I'm saying?
I was not expecting to go home with that, so that's the only place. Like, it's out of the way. It's tucked in the corner.
And you know what? That's the perfect place for it, because you can look right at it while you look at that picture of you dressed as a stormtrooper in the background.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Look, I don't think you should go see Mortal Kombat. I don't really think anybody should go see it.
Are you going to see? Are you going to see Street Fighter though?
Absolutely. And I expect it to be trash. But I'm like walking into that expecting it to be trash.
Yes. I hope it's campy as I don't know what.
Absolutely.
Like, it looks like it's super campy.
Can I tell you?
I'm looking forward
what
to
I think has happened to me. So Joe, the first trailer for it, I was like, what are they doing? Like, this looks so crazy, right? All right. The most recent trailer where they actually showed them like doing the moves, it looks so bad that I'm like, oh well, they know it looks bad. Like, they're doing this on purpose.
On purpose.
Yes, it's on purpose. Yes.
If you ever played, and I know you have played it, but I don't know if you remember playing it because you played it with me at my house. When the original Street Fighter the movie came out, right? With Jean-Claude
Oh, yes,
they did a game.
Yes, they did.
And it had live action people in it doing the moves. And what they look like doing the moves in this movie is exactly what they look like doing the moves in the game, bro. It looks like digitized like choppy animation. So look, at least it feels like they're leaning into it and not taking it too seriously. And
that's exactly what.
The best thing to
do.
All right,
exactly
let's
what
do it. When Mortal Kombat, it felt like they were trying to at least redeem themselves for the first movie, which I gave them the benefit of the doubt from that movie because it came out in like 2021, which is like they were filming it during COVID. And a lot of films came out not as great as we wanted or expected. You know what I mean? They had very limited like theatrical releases and that kind of stuff. And they were more or less the straight to DVD equivalent, you know what I mean? Or whatever for a movie at that time. And so I was like, all right, they should have a little bit more budget. This one they know it's going to the theater. They're trying to do whatever. And it's like, nah, bro. They they make some suspect decisions.
Well, when they had, they have Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, I was like, I like Carl Urban, but
I do too.
Is he Johnny Cage?
He's not.
He wasn't.
I think he's too old. I think it's like it doesn't feel like it works within the context of the movie. And to be honest, I don't know if it matters because I don't think there'll be another one. Like they end it like they know there's gonna be another one. But I don't think. And listen.
Maybe it'll be a comic.
We stayed until the very end of. We stayed till the very end of the credits, and let me tell you how my youngest child was like, "Can we go? There can't be anything.
I'm done with this."
She was ready to go, and like she knows, like we stayed to the end just in case. And
just in case. She was like, "Nah, I don't need it. I don't need to know."
Nah, dog. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna get a sequel, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Joke took me up.
Number 2.
All right, so look, back in December, Harada, who is, for all intents and purposes, considered the grandfather, the father of Tekken. He had been at Bandai Namco, or what was at one point Namco, and that was at one point Namco Bandai before they redid the name for whatever reason. Doing Tekken from like essentially the very beginning. And when he left, he had been there for like 31 years. And when he left in December, it was like, okay, he retired. Good for him. Good on him. Tekken 8 is doing great. People really love it. It's killing at Evo, blah, blah, blah. And then like today, they announced that he has now joined SNK with a new studio called VS Studio. And it would appear that he's there to make more fighting games. Now, if you're familiar at all with SNK, you know that SNK is essentially your Neo Geo folks. They are your Art of Fighting, your Mark of the Wolves. They're like, and they do 2D fighters. But Harada has always done 3D fighting, in like Tekken. So it's interesting to see him end up there, and it makes me wonder whether or not we might see SNK either take some of their franchises that they already have and move them into
a 3D environment.
3D. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Street Fighter did it. I mean,
they did, but it wasn't good. Like the Street Fighter EX was like, again, that was still very early 3D.
Yeah.
That was along the lines and had still a kind of a look of like early Virtua Fighter, maybe Virtua Fighter 2. There are some games where they played with a 2D, 3D plane in terms of like Capcom kind of doing that stuff with like rival schools. But it hasn't really been like, like Tekken Tag, the Tekken games, we maybe would have gotten something if they had ever done the Tekken Cross Street Fighter. We got Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but never got the Tekken Cross Street Fighter. So maybe we would have seen, that happen. I do think that there's a space for some new 3D fighters though, because 2D fighters have kind of like elevated. There's so many 2D fighters now. So I think there's space for it, and I'd like to see besides Tekken do it.
I was say, I guess I don't even know how many Street Fighters there are anymore. The last one, I guess they were 3D rendered, but I guess it's still played like a 2D game, like a 2D fighter. Yeah. So in Tekken does pretty much like you can.
It's full 3D. Yeah. It's one of those things where, again, it'll be interesting to see how they do it.
Oh yeah,
I'll
that
pull
ain't
from the
happening.
article. Let me see, because he said that the VS in VS Studio holds various meanings. It represents our roots in video game soft, so VS, video game
Okay.
soft, VS development division, the spirit of versus, challenging tradition, which again, SNK versus Street Fighter, like they've done a lot of like SNK versus games in the same kind of line as like Marvel versus Capcom and that kind of thing. So that idea of having that. And then he says challenge and tradition, and then many other meanings symbolizing innovation and challenge, such as visionary standard, volition shift, and vanguard spirit. Having been involved in game development for many years, I've constantly considered how I want to spend my time as a developer and what kind of environment allows developers to perform at their best. VS Studio is one answer to that question. By bringing together technology and knowledge and working with passionate colleagues, we aim to deliver the best gaming experiences to users worldwide. VS Studio aspires to be a studio that continues to take on such challenges, and we are looking for new team members who share our vision. Please look forward to the future of VS Studio. So, look, it's still super early. They made the announcement, but the reality of it is, right? They haven't built anything. They haven't
Yeah,
done
this
anything. So
is
whatever they're gonna do, we're
it's
probably 5 or 6
years.
years out. We're
Yeah,
talking
it's
PlayStation
years now.
6 and Xbox, whatever it is, if Xbox still exists, and Nintendo Switch 3, maybe, you know what I mean, or something like that. Like it's not gonna be anytime new. And again, especially the way that things are going, like again, like they just raised the price of the Switch, or the price of the Switch is going up in September,
September.
up to 500. So it's like if you want it, you better get it now, before it goes up. Because again, we're in that place where like this is the first time
PS5
ever
just
This is
that
did
the
that
first
too, didn't
time
they?
the consoles
Did
cost
they?
more.
PS5 went up not too long ago.
Five
The
went
PS5
up.
Pro is $900
Switch
now.
going up. That's
That joint gonna
Yep,
stay there.
which was
mm.
450, and now it's going up to 500.
Mm.
Yeah, they're just like with all of what's going on with AI and the chip shortages and all that kind of stuff,
Chip
and
shortage, yeah.
it's
That's
making it so
crazy.
that for the first time ever, we're dealing with consoles that have gotten more expensive instead of less expensive. And then there was also today, like, um, Steam, they got the Steam machines that are supposed to be coming, but there was kind of a leak, a little bit of a hack, and it looks like there's going to be 4 versions of the Steam machine. So they'll do, yeah, 4 versions of the Steam machine with various pricing. It looks like down to as small as a 512 gigabyte version, which is like I don't even know
2
what
games,
you're gonna do with that, but
one and
they
a
might not have
half.
a choice.
If you playing Call of Duty, that's literally what it's going to be
It's
used
your hard
for.
drive.
Yeah, I gotta delete this game to load
Yeah.
up another one.
I mean, listen, that cloud stream is gonna have to get real good real fast. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But again, I think it's cool to see him bring all the knowledge that he has coming from
Absolutely.
Tekken and Namco Bandai Namco, just Bandai, like all that
Listen,
for as long as he's been there, and bring it to a new studio. We'll see what happens in that space. Jokes hook me up.
Number 3.
All right, so look, this one's a little bit of a numbers game. So Sony is claiming a $765 million impairment loss based on Bungie and the acquisition of Bungie. I want to kind of clarify a couple of things because the way a lot of people are reading this, they're seeing essentially a $765 million loss and thinking that that's exactly what it is. It's not exactly that. Them claiming an impairment loss essentially means that they're saying now that the value of Bungie is lower than what they were when they paid for them. It was lower. They paid more than they should have for them in the first place when they bought them a couple of years ago. And that they haven't really met the expectations of them coming in as Bungie as a studio. So a lot of it is, I think, lost interest in Destiny and what's happening in Destiny with that space. A lot of it
speak to
appears
that
to
one.
also be that Sony was leaning on Bungie and their expertise for the multiplayer, like live as a service game space, and that didn't really work out. Like even what they did with Concord, that thing was 2 weeks and it was gone. And the underperformance of Marathon, right? Like being their newest game, and it just not people not getting into it. And there's a lot of things that seem to affect Marathon, the whole stolen art assets thing and that kind of stuff had a had an impairment on it. But I guess my biggest concern, Jokes, and if you want to, Joe, jump in. But what does this mean for Bungie? Like, is Bungie in trouble? Like, are we looking at Sony shutting Bungie down?
That is a possibility. It's sad to say that with Bungie's pedigree. Like for me, like I love Destiny. Destiny for the longest, it was my favorite game to play. But
I know, because you bought it like 4 times, or something like that.
Four probably, yeah. But it's like there was a point where Destiny seemed like when it was getting like updates, things were really getting refreshed, and it didn't seem like we were getting rehashed. Literally the same thing, season after season. Now is pretty much what they're doing with it. And it's hard now. Well, since they've done essentially like a soft reboot of like how the leveling and everything works, it was almost hard for you to be able to jump in, start playing the game, and trying to level up and get to certain places. Like obviously they gave you armor and stuff that would take you to like where the cap and stuff was, but the gameplay and it didn't hit the same way as it did from like Destiny 1 the complete way through, and like the very early
it didn't really evolve.
Destiny 2.
The Star Wars stuff that they did with Bungie recently was really dope. It was really dope. It was really dope looking. It's cool to see them running around with lightsabers and
it's incorporated into the story. It
is incorporated directly into the story. It's not technically Star Wars, but it literally is with Lucasfilm. Like it is Star Wars within the Destiny universe for all intents and purposes, right? Like you have characters that are in there that are like models of the characters we've known for the entire lifespan of Destiny, but they are in all white and black as basically stormtroopers. And like, look, they've been riding essentially speeder bikes from the very beginning, you know what I mean, of Destiny anyway, right? So like clearly they borrowed a lot of stuff from what Star Wars was to begin with. But I like going from what Destiny was and the 10-year plan that they had for the first Destiny, cutting that short, moving into Destiny 2 because Activision kind of forced their hands there, supposedly having a 10-year plan for that, and essentially being around for 10 years. Like they're still doing stuff to Destiny, but it's definitely not keeping people, holding people. It's not bringing anybody new in. And there's a lot of competition in the shooter and live service space that just didn't exist when Bungie dropped Destiny. Destiny was a thing that like really hadn't ever been done before. And now it's not unique. It still feels like Bungie mechanics on an FPS.
It plays beautifully. It's beautiful to play. It just feels so good to play it.
But here's the thing. As good as it feels to play Destiny, does it matter when the majority of people like the way it feels to play Call of Duty and like the way it feels to play Battlefield? Like those games are much more popular and therefore much more synonymous with the standard population. We're not even like we could call them gamers if we want to, but like if we want to lock gamers to being people who play more than just a game or maybe only play 2 games or something like that, like for most people it's like, well, it doesn't feel like Call of Duty. Very kind of loose and run and gun, and you know what I mean, 360 no scopes quick. Like that's not Destiny like at all, right? And kids are growing up playing Fortnite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those kinds of it's almost to me the same way that like I hate Roblox because it's the ugliest game I've ever seen. Kids don't care. They don't care. They're having a good time. They're in a social space with their friends. They can basically do whatever they want in the sandbox, right? And so they're not in the same way that they don't care about the graphics and what stuff looks like and whatever, the way that like we did, because we came from pixels. They didn't come from pixels. So like for us, every step up feels like something new. Where said Destiny was good, I was addicted for a bit. You're not wrong. We all were. And in the same way that it was like a social thing, we would get in and play together. What were you gonna say, Joe?
No, I just remember I played one just brief second but then I didn't get too much into it after
Nah,
that.
Destiny 1. I was all in. Like,
You were a crackhead, is what we
bruh,
call you.
listen, I was in a clan, and
Uh-huh.
this was when I would help people. Like, I was doing raids. Like,
You were a
say
Sherpa.
if I was off, I'd do like 10, 15 raids a day just to help
Which
people
is
get them through the
crazy.
Yeah.
raids. Because you know what? It was just so enjoyable to go in. Like, obviously I know the puzzle from figuring out things or whatever, but it was cool to
Right.
be able to teach people, hey, I bet you didn't know this. Start doing these type of things. And now,
Mm-hmm.
like, the raids now, don't get me wrong, mechanically, they have all of those elements in there that you got to figure out, and you do those type of things. It didn't hit the way that those original raids did from early on.
Nope.
And it's
Nope.
just like, I was scared when Bungie originally announced Marathon, and literally was like, we're gonna split the team to work on Destiny and to work on Marathon. Like, scared the hell out of me. Like, I'm like,
Sure.
that just no. Like, at
Yeah.
that point, Destiny 2 was okay. It was okay. But then when you're going to take those resources now and not focus on, the story, because they started adding, like, actual story elements, the full cinematic scenes and stuff. It was like, oh, y'all going in on this. I'm like, I'm here for it. And then just the ball just got dropped and got.
Yeah, I mean, look,
It suffers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whew.
The glass is
What is
still.
it? Volta Glass is still the best experience I have in video games. And you know what? I understand.
Hey,
Because
listen,
it was
Taken
one of those
King.
things where, like,
That was.
it beat up the internet. It was one of those things that was like a sensation because people were learning about how you do it and having to figure out the puzzle, and you had to get a crew together, and like it forced you. And look, it was one of the things that I hated about Destiny, that like the game was a 3-player game, and then when it was time to do the vault, like the if you were doing a raid, you had to have 6 people. Like you needed 6 people to do it. Was like, well, wait a minute, why does a 3-player game require you to have 6 people? Like, that's kind of crazy. Why don't you give me 6 people all the time? Like, just I had a lot of complaints about Destiny and things that they did, but there's no complaints about what it felt like to play the game, right? But we know the story wasn't great in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
the whole Peter Dinklage thing and all that or whatever. Like, at this point, I don't even know if anybody who is, when I think of Bungie, I still think of the like original Halo and Halo 2 and whatever. None of those people
Oh
are there anymore.
goodness.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like, none of those people
Yeah.
are there anymore. And when you think about Destiny, the first Destiny, jokes, that's almost 20 years ago. Like,
Oh,
exactly. So, like, the
that's
people
crazy.
who were there, like, when you think about the legacy of Bungie and who Bungie is or whatever, like, how many people have left and formed new studios that have failed since then, and whatever else. So, like, what Sony paid for when they bought Bungie, in my opinion, was a little bit more like, oh my good, it was a panic purchase. That's what I think. Like, I understand that Bungie wanted to get away from Activision. They did get away from Activision and were their own thing, only to turn around. Like, they were owned. They were their own company that got picked up by Apple, that then got bought by Microsoft, that then got bought by Activision, that got their freedom and then got bought by Sony. Right? Like, they've just been kind of passed around, redheaded stepchild, make us a game and make us money and then go on about your business kind of thing. So, like, when you really think about Bungie and the history behind them and what they have been, like what they are now, what Sony paid for them was literally like, Microsoft is buying Activision, Blizzard and King. We got to do something. We got to go spend some money and buy something.
Bungie.
And it has been proven already that Bungie lied about their valuation and what they had when Sony made the purchase. And the people not even there anymore.
That's crazy.
So I don't know, man. Like, I think it's really bad. It's all good, man.
I gotta take this. This dude's like pacing back and forth. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
As always, at any time, please.
Always
I
a
love
pleasure.
getting invited by you guys. And I'll always make time for you guys. But this dog, he's literally about to like.
Yeah, don't let the dog
nuts.
use the bathroom.
Go right in the house. Like, hey, listen, come on. What's gonna happen right now?
He was like, "You're done. It's my turn." I was like,
"Be done."
All
right, bro. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for hanging out with
us.
All right, man.
All right,
thank you. All right, jokes. Gage. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.
Indeed. Hey, jokes. Do you think Can Bungie save themselves?
I mean, I think they can, but
Do you?
it would
Or are
take
you
some
just
serious.
hopeful that they will because you want to see them do it?
There's a little bit of both. I think they
Okay.
can, but I do it the amount of work they're gonna have to put themselves in, like at this point, I feel like it's hard to say, hey, green light Destiny 3 and let's, take it back to the roots. Exactly. It's hard to say that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't need you guys to try to do this multiple project thing. Like there's studios out there that only work on one game. They are known for one game and it does everything for them. And you know what? Bungie did an amazing thing with the Halo franchise. Took what they learned and built from there, put it into Destiny 1. Amazing. Got to Destiny 2, started okay, and then just hit that road bump. Especially once Sony picked them up afterwards, and like I said, it's like, hey, just make us a good game. And like, I would hope that they could, but it's kind of hard to see them end up. If they're going to work on another title, I feel like they would have to abandon Destiny and go full. You have to take all your resources and put into it.
I mean, isn't it time for Destiny to go away?
Maybe it does need to go away for a little bit. Maybe it needs to go away for a little bit. Sit in the closet.
I mean, I don't know. Look, some things I think are, Destiny's had what I would consider a good and successful run. I do. I would hate to see Destiny end up with a worse name because they try too hard to like force it. You know what I mean, or bring it back. And I feel the same way about Marathon. Like bringing Marathon back when Marathon was a thing that, to be honest, like nobody's thinking about Marathon. And like, why are you? I don't know. Like the kind of style of game that Marathon is, like there are a bunch of other games that already do it. And no, they don't have Bungie shooter mechanics, but you have to understand that people don't really care about that anymore. Like as great as it feels to play those games, the reality of it is that like most people aren't playing their games that way. They're not playing shooters that way, and they don't. It doesn't need to be that, and that doesn't mean there's not a better way. But if you're gonna do it, like there are also people who just no matter what you do can't get behind like alien weapons.
Yeah.
Like they just can't get behind laser guns and you know what I mean, stuff like that. Halo, I think, got a bit of a break because they had human like rifles and shotguns and stuff like that, and then there were like the alien weapons, and it felt like a progression as you play through the game. Then you have this opportunity to pick up these other weapons and that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm concerned for the well-being and safety of Bungie as a company. I think we had to call the police and ask them to go up to Sony headquarters and do a wellness check because I don't think it's gonna work out. Only time will tell, sir. Look, that wraps it up for what had happened was, and it's about time to close out the show. So no top 5 today. Again, we had our special guest on, had Joe on, so no top 5 today. We do have a couple of things that we're going to talk about, some pieces of news that like we just can't do here and wouldn't have had time to anyway, but that we're going to talk about for our Patreon specific podcast. That's the Put a Pin in It podcast. We're going to put a pin in a couple of things, and those things are your man Vinny Diesel announcing that there are 4 Fast and Furious TV shows in the works. I have opinions. They are not for here and now. We are going to talk about this Man on Fire Netflix show.
I haven't started watching yet. Have you?
Hey, Joe, let me tell you something. I watched the first episode today.
That man on fire?
That man is on fire, dog. That joint is dog. That joint is like one episode in, firing on all cylinders. And it was one of those joints, dog, where I was like, I have to turn this off or I will get no work done. I'm trying to tell you though. Yeah, Frosty. That joint, like, here's the thing. Somehow it missed me. I didn't even realize they had a show for Man on Fire. And
I don't know if that's for Man on Fire, if that's for Fast. I don't know which one that's for.
Oh, it could be for that.
It could be both
I hope
ways.
it's not. It might be. And then we're going to talk about this new Game Pass Discord initiative. Discord Nitro and Game Pass jumping in bed together. Again, that's for the Put a Pin in It podcast, which is a Patreon exclusive. We'll talk about that. Patreon members, you'll get to see that. Probably tomorrow or the next day. We'll record it tonight, but tomorrow or the next day. Now we're going to close out the show. And I want to close out the show starting by saying, please mind your mental health. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. The color is green. Take a little extra time right now before we get into summer and the summer months and just kind of do a due diligence check on yourself. You know, if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. If you feel like you need to reach out somewhere to someone. Take a little extra time for yourself and do something for yourself. If you can, every day. This is advice that I need for myself that I don't always do a good job of taking, but I recognize that it's a thing that needs to be done, right? Jokes, you and I have had some really good conversations about those kinds of things. And fortunately for me, a lot of what has worked for me is also doing and setting up and talking about things I like doing this show. And so I do still get to kind of burn some of that excess mental energy that I need to kind of burn off doing things that I enjoy. Everybody doesn't have that. And so please just kind of take a little extra time if you can to double check on yourself. Take a minute, step outside, count to 10, take a few extra breaths, choose a half hour somewhere and just go watch one of your favorite old cartoons or a show or, you know, something like that. Go back to that Rolodex of old albums, you know what I mean? And play an album, a CD, stream, you know, something that you just remember from your childhood. Back when you could play an album from beginning to end and enjoy the whole thing. Like, just like, you know, take some time for yourself, please. A little bit of word of warning. The 30-second countdown that happens at the beginning of this show is going away. It's a logistical thing. It was a logistical thing to begin with, right? Like, we just felt like because we're doing this live, we need to give people enough time to kind of have a heads up to know to kind of jump in and join the show. So we kind of built that in. But now it's kind of become a little burdenous because the way that YouTube deals with this once the show is over and it's live doesn't allow us to go in and edit and kind of chop that additional time out right away. Sometimes it takes 24 to 48 hours to do that. Then I don't have a good version of it that I can pull so I can make sure it gets uploaded to Spotify like it needs to. Like, there are just a lot of logistical things that just that simple thing is causing a bit of a headache. And so we need to find a way to alleviate it. So there will be a little bit of a role in the beginning, but it's not going to be that long and drawn out. It'll be something different. So I'm not positive that we'll have that ready to go by next week, because we do have things that are happening this weekend that might prevent us from getting to them and so forth. But within the next couple of weeks, you'll see it go away. So just kind of giving you a heads up to kind of set your expectations, so you don't feel like when you jump in and you see us maybe already talking that like maybe you're not as late as you
you're gonna hear the intro. So like, hey, listen, the intro takes a little bit of time to get through. So hey,
yeah, you know, we got some extra rigmarole in the beginning of it. And maybe we'll drag that out a little bit more, just because. Okay, we have some upcoming events this weekend at Comic Logic Artwork and Books in Ashburn, Virginia. We will be there for LotCon. That is this Sunday from 12 to 4. If you can, shoot out. Come on out. It's basically a straight train ride. You know what I mean? You jump on a train and just ride it all the way to like Ashburn and then get off, and it's a, you know, quick hop, skip, and an Uber. yeah, by all means, come out if you can. If you're gonna be there, then we're excited. We're very excited to see you. We have lots of snacks.
Oh man,
We
I
have
can't wait to try.
lots of
I
snacks.
can't wait to try some of these.
So prep your palate if you're gonna be there and be around us, because we have some snacks to try. Coming up at the end of the month, we have Fan Expo Philly, which again is like the 29th, 30th, and 31st. That one's still a little up in the air. More than likely, if any of us are there, it'll probably be me, and it'll probably only be Friday, because that Saturday and Sunday we have Big Lick Comic-Con Nova, which is happening in Manassas, and that is the 30th and the 31st, and definitely got to be there for that. There are some other things that are also happening that weekend. It's getting very complicated.
It's getting so crazy.
Very quick. But we'll cross those bridges when we get to those bridges. Right, Jokes?
Yep.
Cool. Jokes, do you have anything?
Other than that, y'all, the finisher, the current episode is live. So, by all means, me and Marcus take a deep dive into why we think the Wyatt 6 did not work within the WWE. All of them have been released, and funny enough, while we were doing this, they announced that all of them are going to be at the wrestling convention the same weekend as SummerSlam, I believe it is, for a different company. So, but we have a whole conversation on digging into that, and of course, we do talk about the New Day also stepping away from WWE, which is a big surprise to a lot of folks. Ripping with Jokes, got one of those up, and I actually got another one that's going to be coming soon as well too, so stay tuned for that. But other than that, that's it.
Excellent. The spoiler boys for Maul Shadow Lord is coming up. It's done. It's going live. Did you schedule it?
No,
Jokes?
it's live. After that conversation we had.
And it's live now. Oh, yeah.
It's live.
That, okay. So it's live as of like maybe right before this show started.
Yeah, it's live.
So that's up. The spoiler boys for the second season of Daredevil Born Again is up. Highly recommend you watch that. We had a good time talking about both really good shows. Both come really highly recommended. The spoiler boys for Mortal Kombat is also up, and yeah, why not? Yeah, listen to what we have to say about it, but don't go see it. I don't think go see it. But if you want to hear like all the details of why, definitely check out the spoiler boys for Mortal Kombat 2, because that is also live. And then before this week's out, so tonight, as of like an hour ago, the new Punisher one shot is live on Disney Plus, and we are recording the spoiler boys for that tomorrow
at some point.
So look for that like Thursday or Friday. It's busy, y'all, for real. It's super busy. So again, I can't thank you all enough for hanging out with us, for tuning in.
Facts.
Special shout out to Joe for jumping in and hanging out with us tonight. Please, again, go and support him. Go pick up Sleepy Hollow, pick up Marian Heretic, and keep your eyes peeled for the new Star Trek project he's working on. We go way back, and it's just really good to see good people doing good work, and continuing to get good work. So again, please support him. I also kind of want to give an additional shout out. Again, it's just weird that it seems like it always works out that like Joe has a new project coming out right around AAPI month. So, let's support our brothers and sisters out there in the AAPI community this month as well. So, having said all that, and having run the show a bit longer than we have been recently, feels like old times, doesn't it, Jokes?
It does.
I want to thank all of y'all for hanging out with us. Special shout out to the lurkers, those out there who are watching, listening, and not commenting, because you count too. Jokes, tell the people what I need them to know.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
And with that, we're out. Toodles and loos.
Loading snacks.
Swing up and down.